All right, let's talk wide receivers. Who you rolling out at wide receiver? Who you like? Ian.
Yeah, quick step back where I forgot to mention my third running back because I'm rostering that in the flex. But again, depending on how the injuries shake out, but I like Melvin Gordon this week in a stack with that Chargers defense. Definitely, if Brandon Oliver is the guy, then we're definitely going cheap at running back in that case. But I mean, Austin Eckler was really a good pass down back, but he broke his hand and was only playing on special teams last week. And I mean, Melvin Gordon has the second most touches in the league behind only Le'Veon since the Chargers week 9 bye. So he's just getting absolutely fed. And if we're able to kind of pay down a little bit at these other spots and maybe everyone else is kind of, I mean, again, I love Jamal Williams and some of these guys, but if everyone's paying down a running back, there might be some, positive value in actually paying up and getting one of those guys that we've seen do it before. With that said, let's get some wide receiver action now. The chalk, I think, so I am absolutely team Juju, but I'm not sure if he's deserving of this price raise, but I think other people are still kind of expecting him to step in and beat Antonio Brown. I mean, there's only one Antonio Brown. I thought the Steelers acted accordingly last week. Juju saw 7 targets. He balled out. I mean, everyone balls out against Houston. Nothing wrong with Juju, but I just think kind of expecting him to immediately step in and be a wide receiver 1 might be asking a little too much, but I wouldn't be surprised if people are willing to find out. My fade is Michael Thomas. He had this hamstring injury pop up last Saturday, and he ended up playing a season-low amount of snaps. He only saw, I believe it was 5 targets, and he then didn't end up running that many routes either. So, I mean, Saints are still playing, obviously for some seeding, but I think with their season more or less doing pretty well. Might not be putting the number 1 receiver at too much risk. Leads me to my picks mentioned earlier. Absolutely love T.Y. Hilton. Wolf made a good point. He's burned Houston. I mean, just really you put him indoors in general, and he's just absolutely killing it. In addition to T.Y., I got Jarvis Landry. He's the only receiver in the league with 5 receptions. I think it's ridiculous. Someone like him has as many catches as he does, and he can't get more yards out of it. But it is what it is. We on a full PPR site like DraftKings, that's all we're looking for. EJ Gaines for the Bills could be out. Even if he's not, we got Jarvis in the slot against Leonard Johnson, who really just isn't a very good slot corner. And then my other receiver is Mr. Doug Baldwin. I know the Seahawks pass offense hasn't looked great recently, but we're going home. We've seen Doug and Russell have some great home splits. And this Cardinals defense is really in a predicament this week. Patrick Peterson has not moved into the slot and covered Baldwin in recent years. Honey Badger's been playing a lot better recently, but with this injury to, excuse my pronunciation, Antoine Bethea, I believe, their stud safety, I think they're going to have to move Honey Badger back to safety, and we're going to get Doug Baldwin on a backup slot corner. So I'll definitely take that matchup. And even though I'm rolling out with 3 slot receivers, I think there's plenty of upside there and a high floor with the catch rate.
All right, Jimmy, who you like at receiver?
I'm paying up quite a bit this week at receiver. I'm starting with Julio Jones. Falcons are in a must-win game at home against the Panthers defense, and this is the time where the fantasy season's over. So Julio, if there's ever a time that he's going to explode, other than that one Mount St. Julio game against the Bucs, it's going to be when he has no fantasy football impact. So I like him to go off this week. Yep, of course. So I like Julio at 8-2. I got Keenan Allen at 7-8. He's been a little bit quiet lately, but they're also in a must-win game. They're playing the Raiders at home. Raiders corners have been awful. I like Keenan Allen for big day. I feel like his percentage should be relatively low ownership-wise, so I feel like paying up for him would be a little contrarian. Then I got Josh Doxson here at 4-4. Stacking with Kirk Cousins, he seems like a great bet for a touchdown. I would have loved to have Jamison Crowder, but I can settle salary-wise for Doxson going against the Giants at only 44. So I like those 3 guys right now, but very subject to change.
He had 13 targets last week. Doxson did. He only caught 2 of them, but man.
Yeah, it's very inefficient.
Alarming stat, yeah.
Well, DeAndre had 13 targets against the Jags a couple weeks ago. Only pulled in 4. Not that Doxson is DeAndre Hopkins, but
right.
they want to feature him in the offense, I guess. Wolf, who you got?
So right now I got T.Y. Hilton, as we mentioned. Love that stack. Marvin Jones at 6,500. I think it's a great value. Balled out against the Packers early this year. He's going to ball out on them again. I think that's just a great spot for him. And then right now I've got 2 lineups. One of them I have A.J. Green in at 63. I think he's going to be an interesting guy. It's obviously A.J. Green, very capable of 40-point days. but hasn't been doing it lately. So a lot of people are going to be down on him. But I think Baltimore, ever since losing G. Smith, been very big games from the end of the season. Could have just a monster effort in him. Process him. There he is. All right. But I also, one lineup, I have DeAndre Hopkins too, my clear-cut number one tier alone guy this week against Indianapolis, who just lost their best corner for the year to the IR right now. So I can see Hopkins just having one of his classic Hopkins, 38 point fantasy days. He's one of those monsters to end the season. I go from having Hopkins and Kittle's my flex in that lineup. So I got to take a pretty big hit to have Hopkins in my lineup, or it's AJ Green and Carlos Hyde. So I'm kind of choosing between those two options right now, whether I want to go with Green and Hyde or Hilton and Kittle. Hopkins and Kittle. I kind of like the Hopkins-Kittle one right now. I'm not going to lie. I think Kittle finds the end zone and makes that one worth it.
Okay. I don't, I as much as I would love to give you hell for that, it actually makes a lot of sense to me.